Good evening, students.
Good evening,
Uh,
sir.
I want you all to revise the concept of yesterday's topic. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes time. Just go through it, and if there is any doubt, ask. So we are going to do problems based on them, and then the next topic. Yes, students. Any doubt? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay.
No,
Let's see how
sir.
the responses are today. Okay. I want everybody to interact, or else I feel like I'm talking to myself. Okay. So I gave you two problems yesterday. What is the answer for them? What is the answer, guys? Then try. Okay. You guys try and then come. Then I'll explain if you have any doubts. So moving on to the next concept. So I told you about finding the direction, right? So direction of magnetic field, how to find them using right hand thumb rule. So how are we going to find using the right hand thumb rule? It is very simple. Extend the the thumb of your right hand in the direction of current. Extend the thumb of your right hand in the direction of current and curl the fingers of your right hand and curl the fingers of right hand around the conductor. The direction in which fingers are curled gives the direction of magnetic field. Please write it down. Extend the thumb of your right hand in the direction of current and curl the fingers of your right hand around the conductor. The direction in which the fingers are curled gives the direction of the magnetic field. Okay. So let me explain this. Suppose this is the conductor and this is the direction in which the current is flowing. So place the thumb of your right hand in the direction of current and curl the fingers of your right hand as if you're going to hold it. So when you do that, what is going to happen? If the current carrying conductor is going to be straight, then at a point P on the right hand side, the magnetic field will be into the plane. Similarly, at a point P dash, which is on the left of the current carrying conductor, it is going to be out of the plane. So you're able to understand this point. So this is what we call it as right hand thumb rule, and I'm sure you would have learned it in your lower grades as well. Okay. Next is magnetic field due to a circular current carrying conductor. Now what happens is you have a circular current carrying conductor and let's say you have a circular current carrying conductor. We need to find the value of the magnetic field due to the circular current carrying conductor at a distance x from its center on the axis of it. Okay, let me explain what it exactly means. So if I take these two fingers put together as the circle, if I take this as a circle, then the circle center will be somewhere over here. So if I see it from this angle, the axis of the circle is this thing. So axis is something which is perpendicular to the plane of the circle and passing through the center of it. Okay. So let the radius of the circle be A and let the current flow in the clockwise direction for time being, or anti-clockwise, whatever it is. Direction of current is not important here. So current is flowing. So at a point on the axis of it, so if I take this as the axis, at a point on the axis of it, it is our job to find the magnetic field. But what happens is, generally if I take the circle like this, the axis will be here. So I can take this distance as x and find it. But if I draw it according to the way it is there in the paper you are able to see now, you will not be able to find, because the text should be either towards me or towards you guys, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is, the circle will neither be drawn like this nor like this. If I draw it like this, you will only be able to see a straight line. So it will be drawn like this. So when it is drawn like this, the circle will no more appear like a circle, rather it is going to appear like this. It will appear like this, such that the radius is still going to be A, but you will be able to see the axis of it. So let's say there is a point P which is existing at a distance x from the center. Clear, guys? And by the way, there is a very, very important derivation. Ensure you guys are able to understand this. Okay, radius is A and distance from center to point P is X. Okay, that's it. Now, what we need to do is, for us to apply the Biot-Savart law, right? For us to apply the Biot-Savart law, we need a current carrying element. So what I'm going to do is, concentrate guys. I'm going to take a current carrying element of length dl at the top. Okay, let's say, so I'll show you it in the textbook how it is going to look like. So this is the conductor. So you're able to see. So that's what I've taken. So when this is like this, let's say the current is flowing in this direction, and at the top dl is taken a small portion such that the current is going to be in this direction. Current will be like the direction of dl is going to be tangential to the surface. Okay. Now, listen, this is a very important point. From dl, if I say the distance to the point P, whatever I've taken, is R. Okay. Then, if I calculate the value of dB at point P, what is the formula, guys? It is mu naught divided by 4 pi into IDL sine theta divided by the distance square R square. Right? Now listen to this carefully. Let me take some object, for example. I have a brush in my hand. See, listen. When the current carrying conductor is like this, it is tangential to the surface. Okay, I cannot close my hand. So remember that it is tangential to the surface. Let me show it clearly. Right, are you guys able to see this? It is tangential to the surface. Then from here, the point is taken in this way. Right, my pen is R. Now, this is like this and this is R. And what do you think is going to be the angle between them? Are you guys able to see what is the angle between them? It is 90. Means in this case, theta is going to be equal to 90 degrees. So if I take this 90 and substitute it here, the value of dB will be equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi R square into IDL. Okay, let this be equation number 1. Now there is another important question we need to answer. What is the direction of this dB? What is the direction of dB? So, listen, IDL is in this direction and R is in this direction. So what did I tell you just now? I told you when you need to apply, just a minute, I'll try to get some. Yes. I have a bangle here. See, IDL is in this direction and point P is here. Just now I told you a right hand thumb rule. So when you place the thumb of your right hand in the direction of current and curl the fingers, then at point P, you can observe that the direction of dB is going to be in this direction, such that dB is perpendicular to R, because when you're doing the cross product, the vector dB is going to be perpendicular to both the vectors for which you're doing the cross product, out of which R is one of the vectors. Okay, this is one way of seeing. Okay, I repeat it. If the coil is like this, current is flowing in this direction, point P is here, then place the thumb of your right hand and curl the finger as if you're going to hold it. Then you can observe that dB will be in the perpendicular direction. Okay. This is one way of finding. The other way of finding is, listen, if I take this coil, okay, anything towards me is positive z-axis, anything away from me is negative z-axis. Anything along the horizontal is x-axis, sorry, positive x, negative x, positive y, negative y. Okay. Now, when I say the current is flowing in clockwise direction, you also have, you keep your hand like this. When you see from this side, the current is flowing in clockwise direction. At the topmost point, what is the direction of current? Is it towards you or away from you? Is it towards you or away from you, guys?
Towards.
Do you keep your hand like this? Okay. See from this side, current is going to be clockwise. At the top point, check and tell me. Keep your hand like this and check and tell me.
So it will be away.
Be away. So anything away from you is minus k cap. So this should be a rough work. Okay. So the direction of dB is decided by ideal cross R vector. See, don't think that I'm putting equal to symbol. This is the rough work I told you. So ideal cross R will decide the direction of dB. So in this case, I is in which direction? You people told me it is away. So it is minus k cap cross. What is the direction of R? So if I keep my hand like this, if I take this as the origin, what did I say this direction is? Is it not positive x-axis? So you also, if you have some round object in your hand, or you can keep your finger itself like this. So to the right of this finger, to the right of the left hand of your finger, it is positive x-axis. Anything above is positive y-axis. So R is in which direction, guys? It is, if I take this point as the origin, if I take this point as the origin, then R is entering into which quadrant? R is entering into which quadrant? So if I take this point as origin, if I take this point as origin, with respect to this point, this will be x-axis, this will be y-axis. With respect to this point, if this is x-axis, it is entering into the fourth quadrant. Is entering into the fourth quadrant. So fourth quadrant, x is positive, y is negative. So minus k cap cross I cap minus j cap, right? So you know the cycle, right? I, j, k. I hope you guys would have gone through the cross product of vectors and count. So I cross j is k, j cross k is I, k cross I is j. So minus of what is k cross I? It is j. Minus of minus is plus. What is k cross j? It is minus I. So minus of I cap plus j cap, or minus I cap minus j cap. So what is the direction? Guys, are you able to understand? Guys, are you able to understand? 1 minute, I made a small mistake. The correction that needs to happen is It is entering. So minus I and minus j both are negative. So dB will be in this direction. So this is the direction. Sorry, a correction made is dB is going to be in this direction. If you observe the textbook diagram and mine, there will be a slight difference because in the textbook they have taken the current to be in the downward direction. I have taken it in the upward direction. So keeping all these points in mind, just to go with the way of textbook derivation, I will change the direction of current. If the
Sir?
direction, tell me.
Sir, won't when dB is going downwards, that is from x below, it won't be perpendicular to x.
It will not be perpendicular to x, it will be perpendicular to r.
R. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So see, yeah. In the meanwhile, I changed one thing. Guys, observe. I've taken the current to be in the downward direction and dB to be in the upward direction. As a result of this, what will happen is this will be plus k cap and this will be plus and it will become I cap plus j cap, which is going to enter into the first quadrant. Okay. So I just went with the textbook. Now are you guys clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is dB due to the top portion, top DL. Okay. You have to remember the fact that dB and R are perpendicular. But here the problem arises, the new problem that arises is, whenever you have any vector neither along x direction or y direction, that is, when it is going into some quadrant, we always need to go with the resolution of vectors. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do is, I will take this angle to be theta. I will go with the textbook part itself. Where did they take theta? Okay, they took that. If this is taken as theta, now tell me, I'll take this as theta. I'll take this as theta, then how much is this angle? This is 9 theta. So this angle is taken as theta. Is it not 90 minus theta?
Yes, sir.
It is 90 minus theta. Now I will draw something like this. So I'll extend this line. So if this is 90 minus theta and this is 90, then how much is this angle? So I already told you it is a tricky part. I want you all
180 minus theta.
180 minus
Theta.
it is 180 minus of 90 minus theta minus 90.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry, 90 minus theta plus 90. You're able to understand,
Okay.
because this is 90 minus theta, this is 180. So answer will be theta. So this will also be theta.
Okay.
Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
1 minute, wait. One minute, wait. Correct. So this is theta. So at point P, if you observe, this is going to be dB, then this is theta. Okay. Then how much is this angle? It is going to be dB cos theta, and this will be dB sin theta. Means I resolve the vectors into two components. Are you guys clear with this point? In a similar way, if I consider an other DL at the bottommost point exactly opposite to the topmost point. So let me show you with the angle. See, if I take one DL here and the other DL exactly at the bottommost point. So one is here and the other is here. Okay. Then what will happen to the direction of dB at the bottom. The direction of dB at the bottom will be in this direction. If I take this as theta, this is also going to be theta. So at the bottommost point, what will happen is dB will be in this direction. If this is theta, then you can resolve it into two components, dB cos theta and dB sin theta. So this is due to the top portion and this is due to the bottom portion, right? So at point P, how many magnetic fields are you able to see? You are able to see two magnetic fields due to two current carrying elements, right? So if you resolve them into components, out of all the components that are there, which one will exist and which one will get cancelled out? So net magnetic field at point P is dB net is equal to, is it not dB cos theta plus dB cos theta, guys? Is it not 2 times dB cos theta? Are you guys able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
Right. So let me take this as 1, this as 2. Using 1 into, what do you get? Using 1 into, you will get the net value of dB is equal to how much? 2 into, what is the value of dB, guys? Mu naught IDL divided by 4 pi r square. Multiplied with?
Cos theta.
Very good. Cos theta. But again, instead I taught you one thing, right? So whenever you want to integrate it, you need to have everything as a variable of one parameter.
Single variable.
So what I will do is I will convert cos theta in terms of other parameters. So if I look at the right angle triangle, what does cos theta tell? I'll draw it separately, you can check. If this is how theta is going to be, if this is A and this is R, this is X. What is cos theta, guys? Is it not A by R? But R, can I write it as root of X square plus A square? I'll write this at a later point. As of now, let it be R only. Okay, I'll take this and plug the value here. Then what is going to be the value of dB net? It is 2 into mu naught I dl divided by 4 pi r square into cos theta is going to be A divided by R. So 2 and 4 will get cancelled. So what are going to get? Mu naught I A divided by 2 pi r cube, the whole multiplied with dl. Now if you observe, all the parameters are constant except dl. Right? So integrating on both the sides, I'll get B net is equal to integral of mu naught IA divided by 2 pi r cube into dl. This is where the trouble starts again. Okay. We need to take proper limits. Listen to this, guys. Whenever you are integrating, no? If I take, so how many current carrying elements did I take in this problem? How many current carrying elements did I take?
2, sir.
2, right? Okay, listen. If you take only one current carrying element, if I take this point as 0, then if dl keeps traveling here, after one revolution, how much distance it would have covered? If I take one current carrying element, if I take that point to be 0, after one revolution, the dl would have covered how much distance? Very simple question.
One full circle, sir.
So one full circle, what is the length of the circle?
2 pi r.
It would have covered a distance of 2 pi r. But in this case, I took one dl here, one dl here. Okay. Let's say they both are revolving in anti-clockwise direction. So by the time this dl reaches half of the circle, this other dl which was present at the bottom would have completed the remaining half of the circle. I repeat it. by the time the top DL is reaching the bottom DL would have reached the top. So each DL is traveling how much distance?
Pi r, sir.
Pi r.
Is traveling. So 0 to pi r, because this is again a common mistake. What people do is they put a 2 pi r. No, it is only pi r, since 2 DLs are considered. Okay. Now what will happen is mu naught IA divided by 2 pi r cube. The whole thing is a constant. Integral of DL is going to be L between 0 to pi r. Substitute the upper limit and the lower limit. You will get mu naught I divided by 2 pi a r cube into pi r minus 0, which is nothing but pi r. So pi and pi will get cancelled. R and r will get cancelled once. So you will get the answer as mu naught IA divided by 2 into r square. So answer will be mu naught IA divided by 2 into r square is a square plus x square the whole power 3 by 2. Because r is equal to a square plus x square the whole power half from the right angle triangle using Pythagoras theorem. Okay. So power half means here you have a, oh, I have a square. Wait. Sorry. The mistake is it is not pi r, it is pi a, because the radius of the circle is a. I'm sorry. Divided by 2 pi r cube into pi a. Pi and pi will get cancelled. So mu naught I a square divided by 2 r cube. Okay. So this is an expression which you are supposed to remember. Mu naught I a square divided by 2 into a square plus x square the whole power 3 by 2. Guys, am I clear? Any doubt? So R will be equal to a square plus x square. Sorry. The value of the net magnetic field at a point on the axis will be mu naught I a square divided by 2 into a square plus x square the whole power 3 by 2. Okay. Shall I move on? Shall I proceed, guys? Here. First note. If number of turns of the coil is capital N, then listen to this. B will be equal to mu naught capital N I a square divided by 2 into a square plus x square the whole power 3 by 2. This is going to be the net value of the magnetic field at a point on the axis of it. Okay. Second, the number of turns of the coil is capital N, then B is equal to mu naught capital N I a square divided by 2 into a square plus x square the whole power 3 by 2. Next, if x equal to 0, then B will be equal to mu naught I a square divided by 2 into a square the whole power 3 by 2, which will be mu naught I divided by 2a. So what is the meaning of this is, when will x be equal to 0? This is When x will be equal to 0 means the point P is at the center of it. Okay, when the point P is at the center, magnetic field due to a circular coil at its center is given by this value, mu naught I divided by 2 into A. Yesterday, if you revisit your notes and tell me, yesterday we would have seen expression for something else which is similar to this. Can you look at your notes and tell me? Guys, are you there or not? I told you already. Are people there or not? Someone respond. Yesterday I told you, right? There is some other expression which is similar to this. What is it?
Mu naught I by 2 pi A.
So mu naught I by 2 pi A is an expression for a straight conductor of infinite length.
Infinite length.
Okay, whereas this expression is something similar, right? Why I'm trying to connect these two is generally how our mind thinks is pi will come only for a circle. Correct? That is how we think, because circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So most of them, what they do is they write the formula as mu naught I by 2 pi A for the magnetic field due to a circle at the center. But here it is important to note that for a circle, there is no pi in the denominator. So pi will come only for a straight conductor of infinite. Okay, please make a clear note of that point. Say somebody asks you what is the magnetic field due to a circular coil at its center, it is simply mu naught I divided by 2 into A, where A stands for the radius of the circular portion. Clear? So that is all with respect to the magnetic field due to a circular coil on the axis and at the center. Now we will do some problems. Okay, listen. So the example 4.6, there is a straight wire carrying a current of 12 ampere is bent into a semicircular arc of radius 2 centimeter as shown in the figure. Consider the magnetic field B at the center of the arc. Consider the magnetic field B at the center of the arc. What is the magnetic field due to the straight segments? So if you observe, this is a straight segment, this is a straight segment, and this is a semicircular segment. Right? So this whole system, the first system A, is made up of 3 conductors. What are they? One straight conductor on the left, one semicircular conductor, and the third straight conductor on the and the second straight conductor on the right. Correct, Ada? Now comes an important question. So how much is the current that is flowing? It is 12 ampere. So let this distance, our radius be how much? 2 centimeter. Now tell me, what do you think will be the magnetic field due to the first conductor at the center? What do you think is going to be the magnetic field due to the first conductor at the center? So it is a straight conductor. Due to the straight conductor, what is going to be the magnetic field? Is 0. Similarly, B3 is also 0. Then what about B1? Sorry, B2. B2, it is a semicircular conductor, right? So the answer will be mu naught I divided by 4A. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the second problem, this is 1, 2, and 3. Again, the magnetic field at the center is going to be B1 plus B2 plus B3 along with the directions. But B1 and B3 are 0. So B2 will be mu naught I divided by 4A only. Okay. So here also the magnetic field at the center is mu naught I divided by 4A. In the second case also it is mu naught I divided by 4A. But the only difference is, at least just tell me, no, what will happen? What is the difference? It is the directions which will be different. In the first case, the magnetic field at the center will be into the plane, and in the second case, it will be out of the plane. Make a note, guys. Okay, next. Consider a tightly wound 100-turn coil of radius 10 centimeter carrying a current of 1 ampere. What is the magnitude of the field at the center of the coil? So capital N is 100, radius is 10 centimeter. Okay, current is 1 ampere. What is the magnitude of the field at the center? So B is equal to mu naught capital Ni divided by 2R. So mu naught is nothing but 4 pi into 10 power minus 7. Capital N is 100. I is 1 ampere divided by 2 into R is 10 into 10 power minus 2 meter. Okay. When you solve this, you are going to get the answer. So those many Tesla will be the answer. Am I clear?
Yes,
Sure.
sir.
So this is all about finding the magnetic field. Okay, this is all about finding the magnetic field due to different, that is a straight current carrying conductor and a circular current carrying conductor at its center. Okay, I mean at different points. Now, the next topic that we are going to see is motion of a charged particle in magnetic field. Rather, I will call it as uniform magnetic field. Okay. So, let's say there is a conductor, there is a magnetic field B existing into the plane of the paper, and we have a charged particle whose charge is Q, which is projected with the value V at an angle theta with respect to the horizontal. Okay. Then the charged particle experiences a force of value F vector is equal to Q into V vector cross D vector. And this is what is called as Lorentz force for magnetic field. Okay. So you don't need the proof for it. You just have to accept this. Charged particle experiences a force of value q into v vector cross b vector, where v stands for the velocity of the particle and v stands for the magnetic field of this particle. Okay, I hope it is over. Now, we will see what happens when charged particle is projected perpendicular to the magnetic field. Okay, so you have a magnetic field already existing. Right, when a charged particle is projected like this with a velocity v, right, then as soon as the particle enters the magnetic field, the magnetic force it starts experiencing will be equal to q into v vector cross b vector. Accepted? So q is as it is, velocity is v, magnetic field is b, into sine of what is the angle between v and b? I've already told. What is the angle between v and b, guys?
Zero.
90.
90, I've given, no, it is perpendicular. It is sine 90 degrees, and I've written only the magnitude here. Okay, so the force experienced by the particle will be q into v into b. Now tell me, guys, what will be the direction in which it will experience the force? So when I have a vector cross b vector, if this is a vector, this is b vector, I need, whenever I'm doing a cross b, I need to curl the fingers of my right hand from the first vector towards the second vector in the shortest direction possible. So in this case, velocity is in this direction, magnetic field is in this direction. So v vector cross b vector will be the direction of force. So if I keep my book like this is the direction of velocity, this is the direction of magnetic field. V vector cross b vector. So velocity is in this direction, force is in this direction. Are you able to understand, guys? So as soon as the particle enters the magnetic field, it starts experiencing a force in the perpendicular direction to both velocity and the magnetic field. Okay, so if I take a diagram separately, then I can say that this is the direction of velocity, this is the direction of force. Okay, now what will happen is, due to this force, the particle will no more be able to continue in the straight line path, rather it will take a turn like this. So when it takes a turn, at this point again, the velocity vector will be like this. Okay, at this point, the velocity vector will be like this. So v vector cross b vector, the force will be perpendicular to it. So force will be perpendicular to velocity, hence it will again take a turn. So at this point, the velocity is like this, and the force will again be perpendicular. If you see in this manner, what will happen is the particle will start taking a circular turn. So since the force on the particle is perpendicular to both v vector and b vector, the particle starts moving in a uniform circular motion. So when it starts moving in a uniform circular motion, then what will happen is the particle will experience a force towards the center. Okay. So whenever a particle has to be in circular motion, the only force, the necessary force is centripetal force. But if it is uniform circular motion, then it is only centripetal force that is going to exist. So we know that F is equal to mv square divided by r, right? So force is equal to m into v square divided by r. But this force is provided by magnetic field. So Q into V into B is equal to mv square divided by r. V and V will get cancelled, which implies R will be equal to mv divided by QB. So this is going to be the radius of the circular path taken by the charged particle when it's projected perpendicular to the magnetic field. Please make a note of this. So R is equal to mv divided by QB, guys. Here. Okay. So let's do a simple problem based on it. So first let's do this. If the magnetic field is parallel to the positive y-axis and the charged particle is moving along the positive x-axis. Okay. If the magnetic field is along the positive y-axis, the charged particle is moving along the positive x-axis, which way would the Lorentz force be for an electron and proton? Try it out, no? So if the magnetic field is parallel to y-axis means B vector will be some B naught k cap, and charged particle is moving along positive direction. So B vector will be equal to V naught into I cap. Don't worry about V naught and V naught. I'm just considering for the sake of. Okay. So first case, in the case of an electron, F vector is equal to Q into V vector cross B vector. So electron is minus E into what is V vector? It is V naught I cap plus B vector is V naught K cap. So it is going to be minus E V naught into B naught I cap cross K cap. So what is I cross K?
Minus J.
Very good. So it is minus E V naught B naught into minus J cap. If I push the minus sign inside, this will be equal to E into V naught into B naught J cap. So in what direction will the electron start moving? Wait. I made a mistake. They told here it is the positive y direction, right? So it is J cap. So here it is I cross J. Here also it is J. So what is I cross J? It is k cap.
0.
The I cross j is k cap. I
Cross.
dot j is 0. So minus sign will go inside. E V naught into V naught into minus k cap. So the electron will start moving in which direction? The electron will start moving in the negative z direction. So that's what they have given, see. But the explanation will not be detailed. Now we have a mathematical proof. So if the electron is moving in the negative z direction, obviously a positive charge will start experiencing a force in the positive z direction. Right? Okay. Next. So next concept is, we'll do one last problem and then we'll wind up. So this is the problem. So this is a problem which is based on Biot-Savart law, which we discussed yesterday. So an element where delta L is equal to delta X times I cap is placed at origin and carries a large current I is equal to 10 ampere. What is the magnetic field on the y-axis at a distance of 0.5 meter and delta X is equal to 1 centimeter? So if this point is taken as the origin, okay, so it is at a distance of 0.5. So what is the formula for dB, guys? dB is equal to mu naught I into dl vector cross r vector the whole divided by r cube, or 4 pi r cube. But mu naught divided by 4 pi is 10 power minus 7. I is how much? 10 ampere. dl is delta x I cap cross r is, what is r, guys? It is 0.5 j cap, because it is in this direction, j cap, the whole divided by r cube. R is 0.5 the whole cube. Okay. So 10 into 10 power minus 7 will be 10 power minus 6. Delta X is how much? 1 centimeter. So that is 10 power minus 2 meter into 0.5 can be written as half multiplied with I cap cross j cap, the whole divided by 0.5 the whole cube is 1 by 2 the whole cube. So this and this will get cancelled. Sorry. So it will be 2 into 10 power minus 8, sorry, 4 into 10 power minus 8 into, what is I cross j? It is k cap. So 4 into 10 power minus 8, Tesla is going to act in the direction of positive z axis. Okay. So this is all about Biot-Savart law and what is going to happen when the charged particle is projected into the magnetic field. Okay, the next thing that we are supposed to see is what if the charged particle is projected at a different angle. Okay, before I proceed to that, I want you to revise these concepts, or else it is going to be tough for you. So ensure you revise and come before the next class. And the next class we will discuss the remaining topics. Okay. Any other doubts from today's class?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So now you guys can leave.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.